because apparently
You don't know how to lift chairs?
No, they don't. That's
are we
something
going
we learned
into
from
that
coming
topic?
to IKEA.
Take number 3, go.
Let the IKEA girls take you on a date. Pick up a tray, meatballs on your plate. Let's chat it through, the old and the new. Deep talks, messy realness, us and you. Yeah, let's chat it out. That's what the IKEA episodes are all about. Check it out.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Jamila.
Hi.
Oh my God, there's someone else.
Did you guys hear? There is another voice, but we will not introduce this person yet for our new listeners. My name is Jamila.
My name's Sarah, and we are in IKEA
Yes,
Toast Talk today.
we are, and today is it's a very special episode.
Very much. Second episode of our season 2.
Yes,
And what is special about it?
I don't know what is special about it.
Come on, say it.
So, guys,
Say the
today
surprise.
we have the pleasure to
The honor.
l'honneur to have I want to say in-house, but I mean it is our little studio.
Yeah. In our exclusive studio.
We have as an IKEA-date a person that has been following us since we've been writing down the idea of
Yeah.
IKEA episode.
She's been here through
Everything, the ups and downs, and we are so happy and excited to have her sitting in front of us and ready to talk to us today and go on an IKEA date.
Are you ready?
Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? This
Welcome
is
to
Micaela.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Micaela.
She's nervous.
Thank you. I am super nervous. Yeah.
Don't be.
We're not that scary.
No. No, but we are so happy to have you, and thank you again for saying yes to our IKEA date invitation.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me.
And for accepting to be our first guest.
Yes, I
That's
mean
like
it has
everything.
been interesting. We spent quite some time figuring it out how to make the first guest comfortable and have the recording. We are having kids crying, but guys,
That's
this is
usual.
That's
this
Ikea.
is the beauty.
Well,
Yes,
so far so good, and thank you for inviting me.
yes.
Okay, so Micaela, she's been around in our life for quite some time now.
Yes.
We all got to know each other at work.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. Yeah.
Hospitality. We
Yeah.
all have this love for hospitality.
This
Yeah,
love
right.
and hate. Love and hate relationship.
Very toxic.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not
Well,
what
that's
you'll
where
be
we
here to
met.
talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we are not here to talk about the big, strong love we have for hospitality. No. We are here to talk about something we all have in common. Something maybe you listening to us also know a little bit about.
Especially if you're an expat.
Yes.
Because Micaela, actually, we didn't even say where you're from.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm from Argentina, from Buenos Aires. And I moved to Copenhagen in 2021. Well, actually moved to Denmark 2021, Copenhagen 2022.
Yes. And one thing we all have in common, actually, is that English is not our first language.
That's true.
And so that's why we came up with this idea of talking about being multilingual,
Yeah.
being
Yes.
polyglot, and what could be lost in translation.
Indeed. So we have some questions. We want to start, of course, by asking our guests, as today, you guys don't just get to hear our point of view, you get to hear Micaela's point of view, which is very exciting. So first, can you tell us a little bit about the languages that you speak?
Well, on a daily basis, I speak Spanish with my husband. And at work, I speak mainly English. Yeah.
And you speak other languages, though.
I do,
Right.
yeah, but then I don't practice them as much. But yeah, I studied languages since I was like 12. So I started my first language besides English at school was French and Portuguese. And
Portuguese too.
Yeah, Portuguese at school. Yeah, because we had to study. And then French, just because I had a friend that was moving to a school that had French. And then she introduced me to it, and I was like, oh, well, let's start learning together. And that's how we started. Yeah.
So actually, all three of us, we have French in common.
Yeah.
Because for our new listeners, I'm from Senegal. So French is our second language there. We're not going into details why.
I think people know.
French is our second language, so I do speak French, and aside from French, I speak English. I hope okay.
More than enough.
Yeah, Danish, and then I have languages from my country, my home country. I am half Senegalese, half from Guinea Conakry, so I speak Wolof and Malinke as well. I like to add as well that I speak German, not a lot, but I can
Where
say
did
a
that
little.
come from?
If you go on my CV,
school,
it's
no?
there. Yes, exactly.
I never
I was
knew
forced to, but a little bit. I can, I can survive in Germany.
Can we hear?
Really?
Never doing that,
I've never heard you speak
and
one word
because of my having Serbian kids and being with a Serbian,
Oh, that's true. You do understand
I do
Serbian.
understand more than I speak Serbian. Yeah. So those are my languages.
God, that's
a
almost
lot.
like 6.
But yeah, Sarah, tell us the languages you speak.
Yeah, so because I'm from France, obviously I speak French too, and then I speak English as well, and then I learned Italian at school for over 10 years, I think, and then I just learned Danish by living here, but my Danish is not quite there yet. I think I still speak like a little baby sometimes, but I would count it. I
You
can
have a
also
little
survive
Swedish
here.
as well.
The Swedish, no. You have a better accent than me.
You cannot stop me. You cannot tell me I cannot speak Swedish.
But I can kind of understand it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we're all pretty, like, international.
Multilingual,
Yeah.
But there is one thing I want to know. I want to know, which language do you feel the most yourself? Where you feel like your personality and who you are is showcased.
She's so passionate.
I think it's a hard question because I would say I have two different personalities. When I speak English, when I speak Spanish, but Argentinian Spanish. Like when I get together with Argentinian people, it's totally different. Like I'm a different person than when I speak English. So I think that I get to be different versions of myself.
Yeah, I totally get
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you still get to know me, but in different levels, I would
Yeah.
say.
So
yeah.
how are you compared to the English? Like when you're
When I go to
speaking
Spanish,
what's different?
I do a lot more jokes. I am a lot less serious.
Yeah.
And
See, that's what we're saying.
yeah, I think that because that's, of course, the language I grew up in. And hearing you, Jamila, saying that you have like 6 languages that you grew up in. Oh, no, less, like maybe 4 or something. I grew up monolingual. I grew up only Spanish. That's the only thing that I've heard my whole life. And having to learn other languages as like more, well, I was a kid, but still later on, not like when I was 2 or 3, then it was, yeah, it's like shocking to me that people get to grow up and have several languages in the home. That's just mind-blowing to me. Because I think mainly in Latin America, people grow monolingual. Unless you have like parents or maybe grandparents to speak another language, still, I grew up only with Spanish. Some Italian influence from my granddad.
Say, you didn't have any Italian language?
Yeah, my granddad, he is from my dad's side. He's from Sicily. So there are some words that I grew up like listening to, but not the actual language. It's not like we speak in that. He speaks Spanish with us.
Okay, so because you said you learned English a bit after, so would you say that maybe you sound more adult when you speak English? Because you're a bit more serious, a bit more like...
I think so, yeah. Because I didn't get to grow with English, so I don't have like that unseriousness that I would have in Spanish. I think like maybe my childhood self relates more to Spanish than to English.
That's interesting.
So you would say your default language is...
Oh, that's a hard one too. Because like living abroad for not years and years, but it's been 4 years, and I had to go to English to be able to communicate with people. And now I live my daily life, I would say like maybe 80% or 70% in English.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable in English talking about certain stuff. But then when I go to Spanish, I don't know, default
like
language.
back home.
Yeah, but not. I wouldn't say that because I think that I speak English so much that it's gotten comfortable by now.
Do you think in English?
I do.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not
So
in
that's
like not
another level.
all the time. It depends who I'm like with. For example, if like we get together with Jamila and I'm talking to her in English, then I would be thinking, and I worked in English that day, I would be thinking in English by the
Yeah.
end of the day.
I have the same.
Yeah.
And then do you actually dream in English as well?
I have dreamt like last night I dreamt in English actually. Yes,
That's
I
because
do.
you were preparing
Yeah.
for the podcast. So your brain was like, I need to warm up.
Well, I did tell Jamila I had 2 nightmares that I overslept because I was thinking to myself, I need to get up and I need to come here. I was excited. Yeah.
But yeah, so if we sound serious in the podcast, don't get fooled. That's just because we're talking English,
In
and not
English,
our
yeah.
actual like mother
Yeah.
tongues and stuff.
No, but I kind of agree with you. At least for me, it really depends on the day. Like I used to say that a lot when I would come to work and I would be like, today I'm thinking French. My brain
Cannot.
cannot.
Oh,
So
it's
I
like a
don't.
French day.
Yeah, I don't think I have default language. I think I have mood language. Like,
Oh,
funny.
okay.
I like
like
that.
I don't know if it makes sense. Like I
Yeah,
could be in a goofy mood. That's probably most likely French.
Makes
But
sense.
it's also because I grew up as a kid.
Exactly, that's
with
what
French.
we're saying. Yeah.
And then sometimes it's crazy when the Danish comes and takes over.
That's when you're angry.
That's when you're angry. Exactly. That's
It's
exactly what I was gonna say. When you're like scolding your kids,
Yeah.
you're like,
I
no,
get Danish,
you know,
and
like
this is when they actually calm because they're like, "Damn, mom is really mad
Yeah.
because she's speaking Danish." But yeah, I think my default language is just my mood.
I have a bit of a fun fact because that's the language nerd in me. But that has a name. It's called code switching. Code switching is it can be with languages and it can be with levels of language. So, for example, like you just said, you switch language sometimes to communicate a different message. So you're switching codes.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, I know that, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but sometimes when you talk to your family, for example, right? You switch back to like, you take your accent and everything, right?
Did she?
oh yeah, that's
but it's
true.
true. That's also
when
code
she
switching.
speaks
You're
to
basically-
her aunt.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you're
She
basically
switches.
adapting to a different
First
audience.
of all, we are not sharing certain private things while
it's so
we are
interesting.
recording. But it is an interesting thing that you just brought. But first, before we go to my second question, I want to ask our listeners, what is your default language? Are you like Micaela and I? Or actually, did you say what was your default language?
No, but I don't think I have one anymore. I mean, I'm still most comfortable in French, but it's true that I need some time to adapt when I want to get back to French still. Because I don't use it that much, except when I'm with you. Here, you're basically the only person I use it with.
Yeah.
But I know that when I get back with like a group of French people, for example, it's not only the language, it's also the references and the humor that I get back
Exactly,
in.
yeah.
And then I'm just like, I do have this feeling of, oh, finally I'm like back to my comfort zone, kind of.
It happens the same to me in Spanish when I go back home. And I
Yeah.
start speaking with my like cousins, and also like for example with my husband, it's kind of like a mixture because he also speaks English. He's bilingual as well. So I get to like if there is a certain expression I cannot say in Spanish because I cannot think in the moment. I say it in English, he understands. But when
So
I go
you
back
have your
home,
Spanglish here.
yes.
And
So
we have our
do
Franglish.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you go back home,
Yeah, no, when I go back home, it's like getting to that mindset again, you know, it's getting to like not being able to say things that maybe don't even have a translation. For example, oh yes, this person had the audacity to do this. The audacity does not have a translation in Spanish, so it's hard to
you
kind
don't
of like,
have a word for audacity in Spanish.
we do not.
You would
But you have
think.
attitude.
But what?
Attitude. You guys
Yeah,
have, and you don't
we
have a
have
word for
all
it.
this attitude, yes.
So they don't
but
need a
we
word
don't
to
have a
say you have
word.
That's how
audacity.
they all
Yeah.
are. That's
We
how they
are
all
Yes.
are.
with audacity.
I just love the fact that you understood both what you meant, and I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, we have what? And like, yeah, the audacity of being, of having attitude. But it's true, yeah.
And do you feel like you've lost a bit of your level in Spanish? Because personally,
Yes.
when I talk on the phone with my mom, she keeps correcting me now, and she's just like, Sarah, focus.
I've had this, like, so I've been reading books in English since I was around 14, 15. So since that moment, I've never, like, I think I've read maybe 5 books since then, like 10 years ago in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, I don't read in Spanish. I read in English. And same with like TV shows and movies and stuff. Because I would feel like when I was younger, I would watch things on the TV and everything was dubbed, and it was not, it was not subtitled. So I wanted to, like, you know, get the exposure. Yeah. So I started watching everything in English with subtitles in English and so on. So it's been
that
like
was
around
before Netflix.
Yes, exactly. It's before
How did we
streaming.
do it again? I don't remember.
Oh well, I do remember, but then it's illegal here. So welcome to Latin America.
We're not gonna mention that anymore.
So basically, since then, like my grandma, for example, she tells me a lot that I should read at least a dictionary in Spanish, or like go into. She was when she was younger. Literally, she would open the dictionary, she would read the words so that she could learn. Wow. So she was like, you need to get like more exposure to Spanish because you're losing your Spanish. And she's been telling me this for like 8 years. And I understand because there's like some words. I remember once, you know, the doors, they have the hinges. The things where you like the move. What's in French?
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, these are the hinges, and I
lost one. No.
I didn't know the word. For example, I learned it in English. Didn't know the word in Spanish.
Yeah.
And then she would tell me, "Oh, that's bisagra," you know, and I'm like, "Oh, I had no idea," you know. And I wanted to say that, or like, there are some words that don't exist in Spanish either, you know.
This is something I used to talk. I actually still talk about it with my family. That when you have different languages, you are never 100% in one.
Yes, that's so true.
It's so sad. And it used to make me so annoyed, but it is so true. Yeah. Like in Malenke, it would be, first of all, something that it took me time because as a part-time thing, I do translation. I don't know how you say translation because it's
it's like interpreting actually. Yeah.
And I realized that, especially when I'm doing it for Wolof, it has changed. The new slang, you know, people can notice that I have not been physically in Senegal for a lot of years because of the Wolof they're speaking. Yes.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And it's the same for French. There is always new wordings and stuff. But I feel like I'm up to date because, of course, I'm young. So, you know, but with Wolof, it's so hard because sometimes they will say something like, can you repeat? Because goddamn it, what kind of language you speaking?
Oh, no. That's crazy.
And then I was talking with my aunt especially about it, and she was telling me like, oh yeah, it's because it changed, right? And the new generation, they have their own slang and they speak differently. And sometimes the people I'm doing the translation for, they would say, oh, it's been a long time since you've been to Senegal, right?
Oh,
and
no.
Like,
that hurts.
And you're just like, yeah. But at least I'm here to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I agree with that.
And it's true, we kind of tend to forget because it makes sense when it's a language you've learned in school, for example, that you need to practice it to keep it.
Yeah.
But when it's like a first language, like a mother tongue, you wouldn't think like that you would get it someday, but you totally do.
Yeah.
You do, and also, like I said, it changes so much, and if you're not speaking it every day with the people, then you kind of lose the new trending world.
Well, I think that, what was it? I think that not the last time I went home, but the one before last, my brother was saying some kind of stuff that I didn't understand what it was. But then I was like, well, he is like a year and a half, like, younger than me. I'm like, it's not like he's a whole generation younger. He's just a year and a half younger, and I felt like I was
just like
out of I was like out of what do you call, like out of understanding, like the odd one out, because I'm like
not in the loop anymore.
Yeah, and he was saying all this stuff, and then my parents understood what he meant, and I'm like, oh, no. What? Yeah, and I'm like, well, I don't know what this is. And then I asked, of course, so I was like, what the hell is this word? You know, what does this mean? Because, of course, the words, so for us, it's like the words are understandable but they are certain expressions. Like it means something else, even though like literally it doesn't make sense. So I've had those happen with my cousins that they are mostly younger than me. When my cousin that she's like 16, she comes and she tells me something. I'm like, what is that? What? You know?
But yeah, we want to know if you agree with us or you have other points to add. We are
Other
always,
experiences.
yes, we are always interested in knowing those things. But with that, one thing I also want to know is like, because I know I have it. I have it for Danish. It makes me only speak Danish when I have to, which is something I have. It's really serious. It's anxiety, accent anxiety, the language anxiety, where I feel like I have this accent. People can hear that I didn't grow up with this language, and it's like it blocks me from speaking the language. You guys have that?
No, not me. I think that
To
it
show
might
off, not me. I'm
no,
just
but
so good.
no, but it's no. It's different. I think it's because you grew up here. Like part of your life, you grew up here.
So they
So
expect.
you have exactly they expect, or you have your own, like the society expects you to speak the language fluently because you went to school here and so on. But then I don't have that. Like I know that I'm learning the language and I will have an accent because I'm not fluent, and if that's fine, good, and if you understand, good, and if not, we switch to English.
Yeah.
But
you know.
honestly, also that's the thing with Danish. If your accent is not good enough,
No, they don't
they're
understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if they do, they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, because for me it's not just Danish. It's like even with the English. You remember when we first started the podcast? Yes, Sarah has this British accent, and I have my just Jamila speaking English. So that sometimes it made me. I remember when we started recording, I was just like, no, I'm not saying the words correctly, and sometimes I just think French, and sometimes my words come very Frenchy.
But I think, first of all, I don't think your accent is bad or anything. I also have a neutral, like international English.
No, but I agree. I think I have the same.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a particular accent. It's not American or 100% American. It's not 100% British. It's not. Oh, I do have to say something about that actually, because I feel like I worked when I was younger. Well, I went to a trilingual school, I would say, because we had English like 8 hours a week. So we had to learn like very good English, or like I worked a lot on my pronunciation. And I feel like I have an accent, but it's like, as you said, like international English. And I had this person once tell me, this very well-traveled person, I guess from one of the hotels, and he looked at me, and because he asked me like where I was from, and I'm like, well, can you guess? And he was like, I can tell you are Spanish speaking. And I felt so offended. I was like, I worked so hard for this accent that I have right now, and how can you tell? Like, where is it? And he was like, well, I just met a lot of like Spanish speaking people that speak good English, and they speak like you. You know, and I didn't mean to offend. He was German, I remember. And I wasn't in an elevator at the time, so I couldn't escape anywhere. I was taking him to see other rooms, you know, because he wanted to change his room. So I was like, oh, you can tell. And I felt offended. That was the first time I felt offended. And I was like, why do I feel offended? Like I should be, I don't want to say proud, but like I should be like okay with the fact that I have an accent, because honestly, I'm not like English speaking born. So why am I getting offended, you know? So I was like, well, because I worked hard for the accent. So I was like, okay, maybe that's why.
I have the same. I have the same. Usually when people tell me, oh, you're French? You don't have a French accent. I'm always like, thank you. I take that as a compliment. But it's a real thing. And like, I have a friend who's just, she's doing like a thesis on languages and stuff. And one thing she told me is that there's a discrimination because of accents. Like, for example, when they hire teachers, they will always choose like a native speaker.
That's true.
Compared to one that's learned the language. Even though sometimes the people who learn the language, they learned it better because they learned the grammar, they know how the language works. And native speakers, we don't, because we just learned it.
Well,
that's true.
See, this is the part where someone like me, that I don't think all my language, I don't think I'm 100%. We just discussed that. I kind of understand why they will take a teacher that was born with the language.
But they
because of
cannot
accent.
explain why the grammar looks like it looks, especially if
true.
it's someone that hasn't studied. If
But-
they
but
studied,
so-
fine,
Exactly.
fair.
If they're good and they
Yeah.
also
But
studied, it's
sometimes
fine.
when you're learning a language, it's mostly listening to it. So if it's someone that has a little accent, is speaking the language, for people learning, it may be hard. They are transferring their accent to them.
But for example, there are a lot of countries in Asia that they give out like teaching visas for people that were born in English-speaking countries without necessarily asking for a degree in
Oh
teaching.
yeah, see,
You know, so that's
different.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, that's different because
Right?
the person, I imagine if they're hiring a teacher, the person already has done the studies and
No,
as a teacher.
there's countries like Korea and
Okay,
Japan,
then
for
that's a
example.
problem.
They proud themselves in asking for like native English speakers. Like, oh yes, this teacher is native English speaker, but then
Yeah.
does he have a degree? They don't have a degree, or they don't
Yeah, well,
they don't
that's-
know any grammar, or maybe they've learned themselves. Sometimes you can be self-taught, it's fine, but generally like
That should be illegal. That's discrimination.
no,
Yeah,
but
like,
that's what they proud themselves on, you know, because when they have an academy where that it teaches English, they can say I have a native speaker
Yeah.
in my staff.
And that's why they're not so good at English.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also, for example, if they're hiring, they do the same for like Spanish-speaking people,
Yeah.
like natives. If I get hired as a teacher for Spanish, my very strong Argentinian accent will be transferred to the elevs. How do you say
Students,
the
yeah.
students? Why?
Perfect.
To
It goes with the team.
to the student, and it is a Spanish that is not standardized. So they see the passport that it says that I'm like native a Spanish speaker, but technically my accent is not the standardized one. So they don't know, or they are not informed that even though I can be very well taught in like teaching my language, my accent would be, and I want to say, hindering for the students at the end of the day to be speaking with other Spanish speaking countries, because we conjugate verbs differently. We have different pronouns. Everything's different. So it's not like the 100% well
But it's
taught
so
English.
unfair though.
Exactly. I just think, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they would teach, like, they would hire, for example, Peruvian Spanish or Venezuelan Spanish is more standardized
Oh,
Spanish. Yeah.
Oh.
Than like even Spanish from Spain, they have like very strong accent anyway. But sometimes they prefer that in Europe, right? Yeah.
Still unfair.
Yeah. Don't take someone that is not at all qualified because of a
Of a passport.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's discrimination. That got serious. We like deep conversations, but not too serious, guys.
Yeah.
No,
Right,
but
so
with
maybe
that,
more,
we can take something less serious. Guys, let me take you to a little story time. When we were working with Sarah and we would have French guests coming in, what I would do is like as soon as they will be in front of me, I'll be like, "Oh, you are from France? Are you French?" And Sarah would be like, she noticed because I was doing it so much, and she said, one time she just literally gave me the talk, like, "I don't think you should do that." And I said, "What?"
Oh yeah.
Because apparently, like, she knew the only reason, which is true, the only reason why I would tell them, "Oh, you're from France," was because of their accent.
Yeah, I remember.
Because it's true, French people speaking English is very.
Oh, you can tell.
It's very, very telling.
But it's because there's this big thing that we have in France, and I think actually it relates to your anxiety around languages because you've been to French school, so you kind of got that also from school. It's like we're so ashamed all the time of our English, so if you don't speak well enough, obviously you're going to be ashamed. Most people are not even going to try. And those who try, usually in France, if you try too much to speak English, try to do a proper accent or something, you get shamed too because you're like, who do you think you are?
Oh, same in Argentina.
Yeah.
When you speak
Is
like
it?
with a good accent, they're like, "Oh, who do you think you are?"
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
And that's why French people are so bad at English. It's just because we never get
they
to
don't
practice.
try.
Oh, me
Yeah.
no, me cocotte. I think it has
No,
to
it's
do
real.
also of the pride to speak French because c'est la langue
Okay,
de l'amour. Tout le monde veut parler français, mais pourquoi on va perdre notre français? So
It's true.
it's
That's
a
why
mixture. I
both
get
things.
what you mean, but it's also the thing of being proud. Like I said, in Senegal, it's kind of the same thing where people are like, well, I speak Wolof. I'm proud of being Senegalese.
I think it's also a balance. Like if you're going to France, you cannot expect every single person to know English. You can at least learn a little, like some words to get by or whatever. But then I've had, like, as we were saying, some guests that they feel very entitled, you know, and like they come and they expect you to speak French, and they don't only expect you to speak French, they expect you to speak perfect French, and they have the audacity of correcting you.
Yes.
I have had these people come to me and be like mad, like, oh, but there's so many like francophone in the world. Why don't you have your welcome letter in French? And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're in Denmark.
It's cultural. It's because
You know?
like 500 years ago, French was the lingua franca. It was like the language
Yeah.
that they were speaking in the whole world. That was several centuries ago.
Yeah,
We need to
exactly.
move
Let
on.
it go.
You need to
Exactly,
move
right?
on.
Oubliez.
I think actually there's more. Well, I don't know. Is there more Spanish-speaking people than French, like francophone?
I'd say so.
I think it might be a
speaking
tie.
people.
It might be a tie.
What is the most spoken language?
Oh, Chinese. First.
Yeah,
It's
But
Chinese
because of
first.
the amount
Yeah.
of people, they
Shall we
think.
Google
But it
it?
must be like English, the second one.
Yeah. I mean, French is definitely not the number one.
No, but I mean, natural, like born. You know, people that were born like
With
francophone or like Hispanic, like
Yeah, yeah.
Hispanohablantes,
Yeah.
Native language.
or researching, guys.
Dun, dun, dun. Sarah is cutting this part and making it look like we had it.
It wasn't that long. Okay, so number of native speakers.
Yes.
First one is Mandarin. Almost 1 trillion. Crazy.
I'm gonna start learning.
Okay, there you
can
go.
learn Mandarin.
Yes, I already watched so many C-dramas.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
already have the basics.
You would
I
like
know the
it.
basics.
I did 2 years of Chinese. It's really nice.
Yeah, so well,
Italian.
so it's Spanish before English.
So
And,
see?
and French is not even in the top 4. There's Hindi before.
Okay, do most spoken language.
Portuguese,
Not native.
but
Just-
most French must be there because it's one of the official United Nations languages. You have
That's
to
true.
speak.
Oh, non-natives. English, Mandarin, Hindi, Spanish, Arabic, French. So French is 6.
So conclusion, guys, learn Spanish
Yeah, clearly.
Or Mandarin,
or
guys.
Mandarin.
It's like once I was with the father of my kids and we were at the, I don't know which store it was, and we were speaking French, and this woman came, was like, oh, you speaking, oh, are you French? And he was just like, no, you know, he explained where he's from and he explained where I'm from, and she was like, oh, then I understand why you speak French. And then she just told him, like, you speak French like a French, you have such a good French accent. And I was just looking, I was like, I have an accent then. And I mean, I think from the moment she knew where I'm from, she just put my French with the African, like Senegalese,
Yeah.
which is actually very rare, unless it is people like Wolof and they are so proud. There is a lot of people don't believe that, but there are a lot of people in Senegal that are like very proud of being Senegalese, and they're like, we're keeping our Wolof.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
You know, and they don't want to necessarily, they will speak French if they have to. So they have the accent. But most of the people, at least that I grew up around, don't have an accent. But I can have it. That's what Sarah was trying to
can,
say.
Yes,
Exactly. It's not by
I've heard
default
it
to have
only like counted times. It's very little that I've heard it. Like I didn't know your, I don't want.
African accent?
No, I didn't know your French from France accent was like learned at
Oh,
school.
okay.
I thought it was your French from your family. Now I understand it wasn't.
No, but it is from my family because my grandparents, especially my grandfather, he was very like, and a lot of people in my family have that. Like when you speak a language, you have to speak it right. It's like people from.
But what
Senegal
does
and-
right mean? You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same with
Oh.
Spanish.
Oh my
Argentinian
God.
Spanish is
I
crazy.
Are we going
Easy
to that?
on this.
Are we going into
Are we
this?
going? But what I wanted to say is that we grew up like we have to learn the language as it was, and the same thing we have at home where it's like French at home and Danish outside. The same. My grandparents were like, we speak Malinki at home and French at school, and you can have. We live in Senegal.
That-
We speak
That
Wolof.
is so lucky actually that your grandparents did that, because I know of many people who are like second generation, and it happened to so many people from that generation because it wasn't in trend at the time when they emigrated to be bilingual. It was more about
Yeah.
integrating yourself.
Yeah.
That's true. I think this is the reason why my dad and my aunt don't speak Sicilian, because my granddad, he would speak Sicilian, well, usually when he's mad or when he's cursing, something like this. So this is what we've learned, like the curses, you know?
Right.
I actually grew up thinking up until like 13 that the curses were in Spanish, because I didn't know they were from Sicilian dialect. I actually thought they were curses, like that you could say, and that once I said them at school, and my friends looked at me, and I was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a curse, you know, like fuck, you know." And
She meant be.
yeah. So I think that's also why, like, my granddad didn't speak Sicilian to us at any point, but also because he migrated very young and he remembers, but he still has a Spanish accent when he speaks Sicilian, so that hurts him a lot. They can know, like, when he's been in Sicily, well, we've been as a family in Sicily, what was it, last year, together in April. He actually got told, like, he used to get told in Sicily, oh, that you've migrated when you were young, right? Because I can hear from your accent, but you speak the language, well, the dialect, even though, so that kind of like hurts him, you know. And it's something that he regrets, not he regrets, but he feels like he has lost.
Yeah.
And yeah. But then I only know the curses.
Yeah. No, but it's I think it's the same thing when I'm speaking, because I can speak French, but then I speak like, this is what I wanted to say as well. When I speak, like people in Senegal and Gambia, we all speak Wolof, but they speak Wolof mixed with English, and we speak Wolof mixed with French. And with that is like, sometimes I'll be speaking with my aunt, and this is what you girls were trying to bring out, but it's true, where I have the accent, but it's not an accent. It's kind of like intonations and certain,
like the onomatopoeias.
yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Okay.
So exactly, it's all about that, and it's all about, sometimes because she will be speaking in Wolof with me or something, my aunt, and then I will just switch. But if I'm speaking French, then I'm kind of like acknowledging that she's speaking Wolof to me by adding the Wolof. That sounds like an
That's
accent or
nice.
something.
Well, I have a lot to say about that, about Spanish. Argentinians shame me when my accent changes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
We're very judgy people.
How does that happen?
So,
It's
like, my husband is Venezuelan.
Okay.
Prior that, I lived with a Mexican for a year. Prior my husband, I lived with my best friend, and she was Peruvian.
okay.
So I felt like a lot of my Spanish, since I moved away from my house, had changed. Independently if I was living in Argentina or not, the most exposure I had was international exposure. And then when I got here, it got even, I don't want to say worse, but it got even like,
More diverse.
yeah, exactly, more diverse.
Yeah.
And sometimes when Argentinians hear me speaking, if I haven't been in Argentina or speaking to an Argentinian for like a day or so,
Yeah.
my Spanish changes basically. And I go into like, the curses I use are not Argentinian curses, are Mexican, or my husband's curses that are Venezuelan curses, you know, like,
Or Sicilian curse.
it's a Sicilian curses, exactly. So it's like, it's very different. They tell me like, oh, the way that you just asked this, it sounds unnatural, you know, and they ask me, you know, and I'm like, well, my husband is Venezuelan, so kind of like you blend in with time. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's something that it is not broadly spoken of, and it should be, because I am sure that any Spanish speaking person or Latin person, when they go to Spain and they live there for years, their accent changes.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, you speak like a Spaniard now, you know, and they don't like that because they're yeah, it's not positive. But there's a lot of that, and it's like, well, but it's adapting.
Yeah.
In countries like Spain, that they have a lot of Latin people, when you go there, there's a lot of people that will have bad misconceptions about your home country. So blending in is also important for you to get an apartment, get a job, and
Surviving, right?
surviving, exactly, and not being shamed or
And
about
also it
it.
makes it so much more interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know, like having more words to use, more expressions. to
Right?
use.
We know
For me,
Sarah loves her accent. Sometimes. What do you guys think about pretending.
Oh,
It kind
Okay,
of,
you need to explain that a little bit.
you mean like pretending, like in society? No, we're not pretending, but blending in so much in society that
yeah, to fit in because you don't want, because you have an accent or something, to make you stand out.
Okay, is that something you feel you do?
I do. Well, I don't know. I think it makes me stand out either way because I end up saying, "Oh, can we just take it in English?"
yeah.
Because I feel like when I speak Danish, once again, I don't fit in.
100%.
Yeah. So then you try to pretend, right?
Yeah.
And like I say a lot, no, yeah, because it's something I feel like it's very
That's
Dane.
true.
But so it doesn't come naturally. You do it too.
No, it's natural now because
Oh, no.
I learned.
Well,
it
but
when
that's
I
the
was
thing.
15.
I think that it comes with the fact that you grew up here. At
Mhm.
least a very big, important part of your life. You grew up here. In my case, I feel like I don't have to blend in 100% because I feel like I'll always be different to them. It doesn't matter. Like there is in my head is like once you're out of your own country, you'll always be a foreigner. Doesn't matter where, you know. And
Oh, she just got it like no, but it's true.
because I remember my husband and me had this conversation at one point, and he was like, "No, I don't want to go." For example, we were talking about going to Asia for a time. He was like, "I don't want to go to like Japan because I would feel like I'm like standing out a lot. I look very different." I'm like, "Well, but if you're not in Venezuela, you'll always be a foreigner. It doesn't matter where."
But there's still
You know,
different
There's
degrees
different
of
deep, of course, there's different
acceptance.
levels.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, it's like you always have issues, even in the most blendable country that you can find that it's not your own.
Yeah.
Even like, for example, Spain, you can say, in my case, we were talking about moving to Spain at one point, and he's like, well, we'll be speaking Spanish. And I'm like, yes, but they will notice our Spanish is different. You look different. You don't look Spanish. I don't look Spanish, it's always going to be like, there's going to be a degree of not fitting in. And it's always, in my head, it's like being okay with that. I think that I also feel like that, but because in my own country, I've never felt 100% like that I fit in. So that is also why I was so excited when I was younger to move out and to see the world and live in different places. I never felt like 100%. I wouldn't say 100% Argentinian, like I usually didn't like the same stuff, or like I didn't drink mate, So people were like, "Oh, you don't drink mate," and people would be like offended.
Oh,
and
you
I'm
don't
like,
drink
"What?"
mate? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
you do
offended
now.
because
She's an expert
I like
because she
el
doesn't
mate.
like mate. I like this story.
And
That would be a good clickbait title. She moved abroad because she didn't like
she didn't like
Does
mate.
not like mate. No, but
No, I get it though.
So what do you guys think about the pretending? Do you feel like you pretend?
No, I mean I do try to adapt, but it's not pretending because it's the same. I also know I will never be. I'm always gonna be like the French girl in blah blah the country,
Right.
and I'm fine with that. But I'm still forcing myself to take some of the culture in. Well, I'm trying to learn actually things like that. I'm kind of forcing myself a bit to do it,
With
hoping that
Danish?
it will be natural later in
With the
Danish.
okay.
But I think it's those small things that actually make you fit in a bit more.
That's
It's
true.
all the cultural references, all the gap fillers in the language, little expressions. Even if you have an accent, if you start using some of the idioms, or here, for example, they always talk about the weather. So if you start talking about the weather a bit more, then
That's true.
you will fit in a bit more without, compromising a lot on yourself, because it's not the end of the world.
Well, I felt it recently because I started working in a part of the place that I work at where most of them speak Danish. And when I was telling Jamila about it, she was like, "Oh, but you just have to say like, oh yeah, this show, like this is funny," or like she's like, "Oh no, yeah," So I had to go. She was like, you'll blend in. Yeah. Oh, but then I did notice with some like small stuff that I have, for example, my Danish, it's not well at all, but I do understand. I don't know, if you come and you're like velbekomme, which means like bon appetit, that it's like a passing person that tells you because they see you're eating it, and you go like, "Oh, tak," at least answering to that, it's a good thing,
Yeah.
So I think that's what in this like office I felt like it made me blend a little bit more, like it more natural. Like they don't have to try. I mean, they still have to switch to English because my Danish sucks, but I've learned that people that have learned Danish understand me better in Danish than Danish native speakers, because they're not used to hearing their accent butchered by foreigners.
Their ears
Their ears is better trained.
Okay.
Yeah, for the ones like, for example, if you come to me and you say a word in English, I don't know, any word, and it's not well pronounced, as I've learned English,
Yeah,
I try to
guess.
see what you meant, because I've been there and I've mispronounced things, whereas maybe I don't know, someone from the US or the UK, they would be like, what did you say, sorry, can you go again, you know?
Can you say it again, please? I want water. Of that last joke. No,
That
but
sounded Jamaican. Did not sound British at all. But now I'm thinking with the pretending thing, because we were talking about how we pretend, and I said that I basically don't. But then the reality is how much pressure society puts, like the society you're in, puts you into blending in. Because I feel like Denmark, in the long run, it will kind of make you have to blend into society, have friends, and so on. But then when I was in Korea for a month, I found myself 2 weeks in wanting to blend in, because it was so, yes, it was so different, and the pressure of the society was so much. For example, over there, like, it was something very like specific, like the way we dress.
Yeah.
Like over there, you cannot have your bare shoulders, because people look at you. It doesn't matter like how short your skirt is as a woman, right? But you cannot have your bare shoulders. So once I went out with like very like a dress, and my shoulders were bare, and people would just look at me so much that I felt like they were looking at me like I was being disrespectful, because that's their culture.
Okay.
So I had to like put in a shirt and the dress on top, for example, and that was fine. People didn't look at me weird after that, you know. So it also is like how much pressure the society gives into blending in. Like here, there's more liberty, I would say, of like you can dress whatever, you can do whatever, you know. But then in other countries, it's like more strict. You either blend in or you blend in, you know.
It's like
So
survival.
exactly, yeah.
But it's kind of like a combination. It's not just language.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's the entire personality. It's everything. It's the bundle, right? The language, the behavior, how you fit in the culture.
Yeah.
Which is could be another topic of cultural fitting in.
Yeah.
Honestly, there would be so much to see.
So much to say about that. Yeah.
Girls, I have one last question.
Yes.
Have you ever felt like a language or language barrier has stopped you from having a voice and speaking your opinion?
Yes,
so
of
much.
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Example.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like all the interactions I've had were either in Spanish or English, so I feel like I can express myself well. But then in other language, for example, when I get like guests that they don't speak English very well, and I am very hesitant to go into, for example, French, which like I don't feel confident, or Italian, which I don't feel confident. If there is a problem, I cannot explain well what's going on for them, and they will not switch to English ever, you know. So I feel like in those moments I always have to be assertive of who I speak what language to, because I cannot, like, as you said, like express what I'm like, what is going on, what I'm feeling, like, and so on. But I can only think it in like professional situations. I don't think I can think it in a personal level.
I mean, I think for me, when it comes to the professional language, I can handle it. It's mostly the personal. So for me, it's like I really feel like sometimes when I'm talking to people and I'm speaking Danish, and there is a meeting. I'm at like it's a meeting, and it has happened several times where I actually don't agree, and I want to say certain things, but I'm just like, like I don't feel confident enough. Once again, the anxiety of the language makes me not want to say anything, because I don't want them to say, well, I don't understand, or as well, because language is very tricky. You can say something and it can sound different.
I know in Danish they have a lot of irony as well, so
And-
understanding what they
and
mean.
it's exactly, and you just like, no, I'm not gonna say that. There are some people that will make jokes and stuff.
So you kind of censor yourself.
Exactly. And then I go to basic. I will have a meeting with someone for like 10 minutes, and I will be leaving the meeting thinking, I wanted to sit there and talk to you an hour, because I have worked an hour to tell you. But then I kind of censor myself, and I keep it very basic, and that's it. Because even online, they could be like forums, or for example, our building, there is this Facebook page where people sometimes complain, and sometimes they will take it to the old Danish, which is not the everyday vocabulary,
Like,
right?
Why would they say
Yeah,
this?
more formal people, because they speak that. They speak like that because they're older. Like, you can have a neighbor that is like 70. If I start speaking,
Yeah.
they may use the way you're speaking to them to talk down to you.
That's what I wanted to say. It's like it's harder to be taken seriously
Yes.
when you don't master a language.
Yes.
That's
So
true.
that's why maybe we can censor ourselves a little,
Exactly,
it's
because
like,
you
I don't
just
wanna
like,
be humiliated.
I don't want to look stupid.
I don't want to look stupid. Exactly.
And
But then,
when-
in any case, if you think of it objectively, it's like this phrase that says, I'm speaking English because it's the only language you know, and you're speaking English because it's the only language you know. You know, after all, you're the person that speaks 6 languages, where they only speak 2: English, barely German, and Danish.
But when you talk
But
to
then you are in
someone-
their countries. It's like,
Exactly.
in my case, when I have to complain to the administration of my building, I always go in Danish. Because I don't want them. I mean, I might be using translation or whatever in some things, and most I maybe Jamila is helping me, but I do that because I don't want them to like take advantage of the fact that they're like,
do that
oh,
too.
they just came to the country, they don't know the laws, they don't know, so let's just fuck them over.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's also this, and so that's why I want to kind of show I know a bit at least of your language. So this means I've been here for a while. So you cannot, like, already this preconception, even though you haven't seen me in real life, you already know that I've been here for a while just by having to speak Danish. It has saved me 2,000 krona by now. So it's like,
Well done.
yeah.
But it is still an interesting topic. All three of us have different point of views when it comes to being bilingual.
But we connect as expats.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's true.
We know the struggle.
And I want to, because I would love for us to have one lesson we take of an episode. And I think it's something you said, Micaela, which is just, I mean, you said it without saying it, being proud of who you are, and just
And what you've
don't-
been through as well. Like, it's not easy to migrate from your country.
Yeah. And just keep your voice and don't censor yourself and don't try to fit in. Just be you.
Yeah.
And just be proud that you are able to speak different languages and that you have the gut to even say hello in another language.
True.
So, guys, once again, let us know what you think about this this topic. And
And Micaela, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
And
guys. It
sharing-
was so much fun.
we have appreciated having you. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I talk to Micaela every day, so it's funny to have you sitting here.
Being
and-
part of the podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has been a pleasure.
So
And I just want to say, as the one being friend with both of them, I am so happy to have Micaela and Sarah in one room. No, in IKEA.
Yes, in
We had
IKEA.
a tea, hygge, and had a good conversation.
Yeah.
So
IKEA is a place of great encounters.
yes, thank you for this IKEA date. Thank you for coming for.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun. I forgot we were recording at one point.
There you
We were just
No, that's
talking,
good.
and it was
Yeah.
nice.
So that's good. Thank you guys for listening.
We'll see you next month.
Subscribe,
Like and subscribe.
like us, click
You
the
wanna
notification bell. Do I watch a lot of YouTube?
Yeah,
But,
and we want to hear your bilingual story.
Oh yes,
Yes.
for sure.
Please write down the languages that you speak and let us know.
Yeah, let's hear from our community.
Yes.
Where are you guys from?
Tell
What
us.
languages do you speak?
We know YouTube will be a lot of Senegal, so thank you guys again for following. But yeah, thank you again, and we will see you next month. À bientôt.
Bisous.
Au revoir.
Bye.